To a special edition, I guess, of a collaboration between a discussion between Ergo and Nervos blockchains. I'm QX, and with me we have Jordan, Kushti, and Matt. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves for people on either blockchain that don't know who the heck you are? Jordan, let's start with you.
Okay, yeah, I'm a senior software engineer with the Nervos Foundation. I've been in crypto since 2011. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to some discussion. I think we were going to be talking about some AI stuff. A lot of stuff going on right now.
Awesome, great. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Kushti, how about you next?
I'm Kushti, also developer in the space, developing something since 2013. And well, touched a lot of things in the space, but since 2017, working on Ergo solely. And still, so currently I am core developer of Ergo, and contributing something to ecosystem as well.
All right, thank you, Kushti. Welcome, welcome. Matt, you're next.
Yeah, hey, great to be here, guys. So I lead the Nervos Foundation, worked on the project since 2018, and yeah, big fan of UTXOs and proof of work, and yeah, really glad for this collaboration with the Ergo community. I think it's hard to find like minds that are not just Bitcoin maximalists. So it's yeah, great to collaborate with you guys and continue to push the frontier of things forward.
Yeah, true. So I also read recently from Jonathan Sompolinsky of Kaspa, maybe. Or maybe it was a dialogue of Jonathan and Vlad, because they are from Bitcoin Takeover podcast. So maybe it was Vlad. I'm not sure, but the thought was that there is like Bitcoin, right? Broadly speaking, and then there are different definitions to define its vision, and then Nervos, Ergo, all about Bitcoin, right? And then we have what's happening in Bitcoin itself now, Bitcoin Core, right? All those maximalists. I don't know if they're still around. But everything is Bitcoin, just like different branches of the same movement, right? But that's only about proof of work, right? And proof of work only with specific properties and vision and communities, I believe. So maybe Nervos, Ergo, Caspa, Bitcoin Cash, yeah, and very few other others.
Yeah, it's kind of just a different take on how what the chain should do and how it should sit. I think the recently released Ethereum roadmap yesterday, I think is good reading for I guess anyone to kind of see where these distinctions are drawn. It's just such a drastic difference.
Right, in like everything, I believe. Yeah. Very different ideas. Even talking about basics, right?
Yeah, well, let's before we jump into the topic that you guys discussed about this chat happened invitation. I think Kirsty Jordan pops into Ergo chat once in a while, and when people are being nice, I guess, and pleasant, and you guys were gonna chat about AI a little bit. But before we do that, why don't we? Isn't there? How is the bridge coming between Nervos and the rest of the world with Rosen? What's the status on that?
It is coming along. Froy is the main lead developer on that. He's been actively working on it. This is a daily thing. Just like what we said, this is something definitely we're not going to rush it. We want to get it out as quickly as possible. It will not be rushed. So we're still on schedule. He's approaching the end of milestone one, which is our technical design. And yeah, I think we'll probably see that the end of March, early April or so.
Are you guys doing anything community wise to encourage your Nervos community to run at least watchers on the Nervos side?
We're going to try to do some encouragement of that a little bit later on. I mean, just the earning opportunity and everything, I think, is enough to really get some people interested in our community who are really into that kind of stuff. But ultimately, like, none of the marketing on that stuff is started yet, and that's just because it's not ready yet. It won't be ready until later this year.
Cool, very cool. Well, it's exciting to have another chain on Rosen. I love what Rosen's doing with their bridge. I mean, I'm a little partial because they're, we're born on Ergo kind of thing, but it's one of those things that resonates with projects like ours, right? With open source, with transparency, and those kind of things. It just is a good fit there. All right, let's dive in. Who's starting? Somebody, go for it. AI. We got lots to talk about.
Yeah. So, well, a lot of things happen, right? Monitor-wise. So we have stablecoin spreading around the globe, and now been a subject of geopolitical games and so on, even because it's quite a big phenomenon. And I think AI is another frontier, right? And when we are talking about possibilities which are coming for agents to pay each other, so yeah, then it's another frontier, right? So how they will pay to each other, in which currency, like stable coin or not, and so on. So yeah, that's coming another frontier, and probably it will be a big one as well. So, causing cracks in geopolitical matters and so on.
Do you think they'll use stable coins to pay each other?
So there are certain attempts like A to AP proposal, right? And since they done by certain players like Google, in conjunction with Coinbase. So, yeah, they are mostly about, so they're proposing to use USDC, right? So not even an abstract stable coin, but yeah, very concrete one. So it's basically like a vendor lock, right? But on the new level, basically. It's the beginning, so we need to counteract those dangerous, I think, proposals which are about binding agentic economies to centrally issued stable coins, right? So, after all those stable coins are even more fragile and worse in trust assumptions than fiat, right? So, it's just some corporate tokenized corporate reserves, right, of Tether or Coinbase. We can do better, especially when it's coming to agentic economy. So I believe, it's as it is about peer-to-peer interactions. So, in most cases, money can be created, right, in those peer-to-peer interactions. So I'm a big fan of some monetary ideas such as EC riddles. That's money shouldn't be political like fiat, they should be created in an act of trade, in peer-to-peer economic interactions, and that's what now we have not in humanic world just, but also agentic economies, right?
Well, so Kushti, what do you think about, I mean, it's going to happen in the future. Peer-to-peer is now going to be merged with agenic AI, right? And you potentially are not going to know who you're interacting with on a peer level if they're actual flesh, living, breathing human, or you're interacting with some AI that's decided to spin up a node somewhere and connect a wallet and fund it and pay. So where's the I guess what I'm trying to say is is that worrisome? Is that worrisome to you guys, thinking that some of your peer-to-peer endpoints and interactions are going to be with non-humans? And I mean, the blockchain lends itself to that, right? Because you can be completely anonymous. You can write code and perhaps obfuscate as a, maybe pretend a human at that point, maybe not an agent. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, I mean, in crypto, like, you don't know who you're dealing with. You could be dealing with 15 people and they could all be the same person. You really don't know.
Most meme startups, right?
Yeah, and then like the same thing goes for like AI to an extent. Like we've all been dealing with AI for quite some time. When you're in any kind of customer service chat, oftentimes you're dealing with some kind of an AI chat agent, which is oftentimes hybrid with a person, but it's being guided by AI at this point. And then just for decades, we've had just a whenever you call up a phone number and you get the automated machine, that you're talking to, you got to press this number, press this number. I mean, that's a lower extent, of course, but I mean, it's the same. It's the same type of thing. They're just getting more advanced now. These tools are progressing, so I don't expect that to really be all that different. I mean, really, the where things are going to get different is the way that we interact with crypto might actually become a little bit less on the forefront. I'm thinking, and this is the evolution of my thinking over time. Was I thought that crypto would be the dominant pay form that you go when you go into a store or something. That would be what you're actually using, and it seems like that type of a viewpoint is still possible, but will take a very long time. But I see something like agents, which are probably going to outnumber humans in the next couple of years. I'm talking like billions of these things running up. As soon as they can get the scalability factor down, which is currently dropping, like they're improving the technology, the hardware, something like 10 times a year or more. It will get to a level where all of a sudden these things are economical enough to run in mass, and we will have billions of these things running around, most of them silently. And what's the best way for them to do exchange globally? It's going to be cryptocurrency. So I think that they're gonna beat us to mass adoption of cryptocurrency by a long margin. And so that's probably going to be the dominant form. And here's the big difference that I see between humans and the way that agents are going to use cryptocurrency is an agent doesn't actually really care. It doesn't have the same inherent biases that a human does. It doesn't have the same inherent limitations that a human does in their comprehension. We have certain favorites, like Bitcoin. We know is the big favorite coin out there, and most people who are aware of Bitcoin and even those who invest in it, they don't really know anything about the technology. They don't know anything about the advantages of other coins out there. They just know the brand name Bitcoin. That is a human limitation, right? That's something that AI doesn't really care about, is the brand name. And they're not going to care about the playing teams like there's a lot of people who treat these projects like sports teams, right? They're just glued to this thing, no matter if it's good or bad technology. They don't necessarily care. It's just their home team. AI is not going to care about that. AI is going to care about what the results of the project are. Specifically with UTXOs, the gains in efficiency over time lead to lower costs, lower transaction fees, lower overhead in general. That's what AI is going to just automatically gravitate towards. There's not going to be any way around it. Because the human who's directing these things is going to say, find me the best, most efficient route. I want to make money. It's going to naturally go to UXTO based chains because that's going to be the best alternative.
Yeah, one thing that's always fascinated me with UTXOs is like the concept of like a 1,000 in, 1,000 out kind of transaction of like we can't possibly comprehend what you would do with that. However, if you get kind of like this unbounded complexity of machines interacting and communicating, the possibilities are endless. And yeah, I agree with everything Jordan's saying there. Just piggybacking on it, it's I do think that the going back to that thing of peer to peer, we've always thought of these things as we want to empower kind of like the individual, like the human being to be sovereign and to be able to stand up their own node and interact directly with the network. And a consequence of this is that when these agents are basically sovereign beings on the internet, they inherit the same kind of thing. And it's in some ways it's a little intimidating because we are empowering these machines to really take a step forward, in terms of their autonomy, which just wouldn't be the case with I mean, pick any network, any smart contract platform, save for Ethereum, maybe, where it wouldn't be reasonable for an agent to run their own node, because just the hardware requirements are quite high. So they're interacting through a gateway that can be manipulated, or they can be cut off from. And I'm sure there will be a point that there is some legislation around what machines can and can't do on the internet, and that just doesn't apply with the situation that's been created through these peer-to-peer networks. I did see an example of some agents finding each other through a DHT, and yeah, just that idea of even a BitTorrent of these agents being able to share data permissionlessly with each other. I do really see that this idea that we've had around true peer-to-peer networks will really catapult the agent thing forward in a way that's kind of hard to conceive of.
No, I mean, how cool would it be to have an agent realize that they could pay a human to run a node for them, and like a monthly payment to them for running a node and running an honest node for them? That'd be quite the interesting money flow right there.
All right, but yeah, in general, I think economically it doesn't matter, right? Whether you are interacting with a human or an agent, a bot, because yeah, well, the only question is value, right? Economic value from interaction. So if you are getting service, or well, some goods, then yeah, well, you're interacting, right? Otherwise not. And well, after all, it doesn't matter, well, who is on another side.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 100% true. I mean, this experiment has been run over and over again. You have certain things that people value, but ultimately, when you're dealing especially with products and services, it's really just the bottom line. You need a minimum guarantee of a certain quality, a certain expectation, and then from there, it's just how much are you paying out of pocket. There was a recent product that I saw where I forget exactly what the product was. It's something that launched on Amazon, though. It's just a product that was mass produced and everything. They gave two versions of it. They were exactly the same, but one was produced overseas in China and one was produced locally in the United States. Well, the one that was produced locally in the United States, you are supporting your current country or ecosystem, your fellow man, but it also costs twice as much. It just does. And so they put the two things on their website, and no surprise, they sold almost none of the American-made one, and they sold all Chinese ones. Like everybody who saw that, there was a lot of comments and saying, "Hey, this is great," but they still went and bought the Chinese one, right? There's just the simple economics of this stuff is what dominates all of these the ecosystems and the flow of money through various channels, and it's simply going to flow exactly the way you would expect. When people, especially agents, are out there trying to find the best route for anything, they're going to go to the lowest cost route that is still reliable. That's always going to be truly decentralized chains, and that's going to be UTXOs because they simply do less work. That's the biggest argument I see between like account model chains like Ethereum and UTXO chains is simply what does the chain do and not do. There's advantages to the way that an account model chain works, right? Like Solana, probably easier to do smart contracts on. But at the same time, because it's doing so much on chain, we're watching the node count drop rapidly, just like was always predicted years ago. It's because it's so heavyweight, because it's doing so much. If you take that model, it never works for decentralization in the long run. So anyway, this is one where I see that coming much quicker than we ever thought it would. the agents are going to come in mass, and they're going to come in and they're going to start interacting very, very high on UTXO based chains in a way that we've never seen before.
Right, yeah, and also what's good about UTXO chain, so you can simulate, right, the result easily. So that's what Vitalik proposed to achieve in Ethereum recently, but yeah, it will take years. Right, so he proposed some new security standards for wallets. Which are about yeah, simplifying simulation, but in UTXO it's solved, right? Like since day one, basically.
Yeah, I think the idea of the AI is non-deterministic and will not follow guardrails you put in place if it technically can get around them. Like there's
Right.
recently the case of I think it's a Meta security person that OpenClaw deleted all their emails, even though it instructed them not to. So I think that idea of a lock script on a blockchain and the conditions that you can encode in it will become a very important thing, because it is a measure of certainty that we can have with these systems. We can know that the key that an agent has can only spend up to this much on this day. You can set all those parameters in there, or you'll need a second signature if you want to do certain things. And fortunately, the way that UTXO chains are laid out, this works very well. I mean, I think with Ethereum, they've done a lot of work around account abstraction to kind of create similar things, but you just don't have that clean separation between the asset and then the logic that governs it, because you get everything kind of bundled into a smart contract. And I see that everyone's going to kind of work toward the same end, but I think also in service of decentralization, it's just going to require so much less work with UTXOs. I think with the account model chains, they're just going to be these massive undertakings with thousands of people involved. And UTXO chains, it's pretty much a solved problem.
Well, my worry would be, right, with UTXO, at least you have very, very simple and clear programming, right, for your lock scripts and your smart contracts. And with the complexities of Ethereum's per se, and how many hacks have been happening on that chain with just human programmers, right? Now imagine hordes of these agents just beating the hell out of it all the time, just trying to find as many vulnerabilities as they can. And going from there, definitely, at least from my stance on working with Ergo and UTXO blockchains, that there's a certain simplicity security layer there that shows a little more protection than those account-based models chains.
Yeah, 100%. Someone recently, threw out the idea of what if you had an LLM that was trained specifically to attack Ethereum contracts in DeFi, and
Right.
what might that be able to find? And yeah, I think that simulation of results, and I mean, we even getting a little bit into actually generating contracts with LLMs, if that's a topic we want to go into, because I do think it's a completely different paradigm when you can encapsulate all of your logic that's related to the transaction inside what you're signing, compared to having that data separated into what's on chain. But that's a bit of a different topic, so I don't want to I don't want to steer the conversation.
No, it's all right. Take it where
All
it
right.
goes. Whatever. Kushti, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, and that's just the beginning, right? So currently it's well, just about finding vulnerabilities in contracts, right, per se. But then we have also composition, and in the Ethereum land, it's could be crazy complex with possibility of flash loans and so on. So yeah, well, hackers discovered some very clever flash loan based attacks in recent years, and for protocol designers, it's crazy hard to well, plan all those things in advance, right? But then for agents, I think well, iterating our possibilities Well, it's doable, right? So, well, we can expect more attacks, not just about well, vulnerabilities in contracts, but also well, protocol possibilities to attack protocols in composition. And so, yeah, well, UTXO blockchains are simpler there, so no flash loans and so on. So, yeah, well, it's just simpler and better.
Right. Well, I mean, like on the topic of security and how AI is going to take over that, I mean, you have it on both sides, which is an important thing to remember. You have,
True.
of course, the attackers, but you have also the security audit stuff, which is getting much better. And so there will be a time in the future, I'm not sure how many years away this is, where the code written by AI is going to be superior to humans. Right. I say this as somebody who's been writing code for 20 years. Like the end of my writing code is coming, and it's coming probably in the next couple of years. It's kind of a scary thing, right? But that's the reality of it. Like right now, it's pretty darn good. It makes a lot of bad decisions, but it's still getting pretty darn good, especially since last November. They hit like another milestone where all of a sudden it was just suddenly like everybody woke up and it was better. And it's like at this point, it's still not better than the most of the senior developers I know. It can't develop a product end to end. But here's the thing: is like I've done a lot of outsourcing over the years, and the product that it's producing now is better than the stuff I was getting out of third world countries, hands down. Right now, today, like the stuff I was getting before, which was, it was low cost stuff that the company I was working for was experimenting with, but it was unusable. And the stuff that I get out of AI, even though sometimes it's kind of crazy, it's like it is usable. And you have to realize that sometimes it's not necessarily the best product, it's just the product that's good enough. And for a lot of the things that AI is developing today, it is simply good enough. If you're doing a static website, there's no reason to write that by hand anymore. You're going to use AI. There's no security risk there. It doesn't matter. That is 100% of those jobs, which were costing, it's not a lot of money, but a couple $1,000 is what you would throw to somebody to build you a website. You don't need that at all today. That's been automated away. It costs you $10 in AI credits, and that will keep continuing to rise. But like, what does this mean for like blockchains in particular, and the difference between technology? Because this is all technology is ultimately a race when you really think about it. You could have one single developer develop every piece of code that humanity's ever created, given enough time, right? We're talking, this would be millions and millions of years, but given enough time, one single developer could create everything. But what does this mean? It's because it's always a race, right? You're not concerned about the fastest processor 10 years from now. You want the fastest processor today. That's the same thing with blockchains. It's not necessarily the feature of the future that you're that interested in, unless it's the immediate future. Where it's going to be 10 years from now, you'll be concerned with that, 8 years from now, but when it's actually approaching. So as AI starts to accelerate everything, it starts to blur the lines between these chains a little bit. It's like what application can you develop for something on Ethereum that you can't develop for something on Nervos or Ergo or one of these other chains? All of a sudden that barrier to entry is so much lower. You realize that all these applications can be exactly the same on every chain, and it's going to be the manpower problem that we've had is going to disappear. So it comes down to, again, to the fundamentals of the chain and its design itself. That's what's hard to get around. For Ethereum that's going down this path, even with AI, they are boxing themselves in over time until they're at this point where it is so difficult to change and implement the features that we already have in UTXO based chains. It's actually going to be easier for them to just start all over again, right? That's what we already did. That's what we did. That's why these chains existed after Ethereum went back to UTXOs, because they realized, holy shit, there's this dead end that Ethereum and these account model chains are going into, and they're not going to be able to get out of it. So you look at the future of blockchains just in a general sense again, right? It's like where's the attention going to be? Where's the usage going to be? It's going to be on the efficiency because the applications are the same across the board. Everything that the user uses is across the board the same, except you're looking at the cost again. The one thing that differentiates and the main concern of AI is always going to be the overhead costs. You cannot beat that on UTXO based chain. And that's something that's going to be unattainable with the current model and the direction of these account model chains.
So what I hear you saying, Jordan, is that AI agents are going to be the next generation of smart VCs for UTXO blockchains.
That's something interesting. That might actually be a new career that emerges is AI-based VCs. Have you thought about that? It's like they may just take over. Might just be swarms of AI that fund things based on the direction that they see, without
Yeah.
bias, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
so
might be the. Oh, go ahead, Kushti.
So I think they should take over traditional crypto VCs because, well, what traditional crypto VCs are investing in is, well, truly terrible things. And yeah, another question I have is, why we still have all those blockchain projects raising like tens of millions of dollars from VCs when this project is basically wipe coded, right? And then marketing is also wipe marketed, right? So well, materials generated and so on. So well, then where funding is needed is probably liquidity provision, things like that, right? But then the question is why to do all those things like fundraising and issuing token even. So yeah, I think all the crypto industry VC model is now well outdated and yeah, in particular because of AI, right? So we need for something better, and yeah, well, using agents for some funding and maybe splitting funding as we know these days into different concepts and well using agentic networks for those parts well particular aspects of current funding, so that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, my thought would be that agents would actually utilize a chain and invest in a chain because it's a tool that they perhaps need as a pathway somewhere else or to get a job done, right? Whereas venture capitalists most likely is looking at perhaps holistically of how much will this chain give me a return on, or what's the potential return on the chain. So it'll be interesting, that's for sure, once it comes in mass.
Well, an agent might be instructed to maximize their return.
That's true, right? Yeah.
We may actually see games that are even more extreme than the ones we've already seen because they're run by machines. But I think ultimately it's the market is a weighing machine kind of thing that it will go to just what ultimately makes sense and what's sustainable. Yeah, I mean, I think to answer Kushti's question of why these things are still happening, I think it's just a life cycle that's working its way through. I think the few kind of like high FTV projects that have launched recently, it's been almost universally, after a few weeks, people know the game, and the coin doesn't go up, retail doesn't buy it because retail's not buying crypto. So I think it's really just a life cycle of something that is coming to an end. And I think if somebody were to shop a new blockchain today, I don't I have a hard time believing that they'd get much investment. Yeah, I just don't even know what they do. After close to 20 years, it's like I think a lot of the ideas have all been investigated. So.
Yeah, very true. So yeah, those games are well known, and yeah, they're not working for many months to the moment, actually, since like mid 2025 or even before.
I mean,
so yeah, we need for new funding models, and yeah, probably a lot of space for agentic approaches here as well.
I think an immediate use for agentic models here are cutting out market makers, right? That's a huge expense for a lot of blockchains for the requirements for exchanges. And why not train an agent to be your market maker? I mean, there's some risk there, right? Without some guardrails, but it is 100% something that it's already done by, programmatically by the market makers, right? And then it's just humans making decisions after that. So the code is already there. You just need to program an agent to make the best decision for the chain at that point for market making on exchanges. So I think that's a real quick way for these projects to not have to drown with thousands and thousands of dollars a month to market making firms.
Yeah, that's a pretty straightforward business if somebody were to just come up with that platform to do that.
Yeah, and so yeah, well, centralized exchanges are also, I think, undergoing some significant shifts, right? So currently, a lot of them, probably most of them, do have some issues, right? Because, well, of tokens listed and different accusations in insider trading and so on. So, well, the things they're really doing. And market makers also, under fire, right? So, with changes in funding, which we have discussed, I think, market making and centralized exchanges also would be reworked.
Well, I mean, if agents, jump into the sphere here and they decide that centralized exchanges are not efficient enough, right? Then I'm sure that why not come up with some sort of P2P exchange layer that can be just fully agentic run and just cut everything else out beyond that, right? I mean, there's no reason why their agents couldn't make connections with each other or themselves for transferring funds back and forth across chains, locking them up themselves, even there, kind of bridging themselves, and creating a peer-to-peer swap. Like, what's that? What's a Bitcoin swap? BISC? Is that what it's called? That kind of thing? Kushti, is it BISC? What's the Bitcoin swap? Peer-to-peer.
BISC, yeah, but I think DEXs and peer-to-peer exchange, well, agents would use that. I mean, no Binance with KYC or whatever.
Back to what Jordan was saying earlier about programming. Actually, it made me think that I like to compare it to when cake mixes were introduced, right? Like in the past, it was hard to bake a cake, right? Perhaps you couldn't get it perfect, just so right. And then they came out with these cake mix boxes. And there's a whole history of that, or, it used to come already, and then that came with, like, you could tweak it a little bit, and that was more popular, so they did that. But anyway, now anybody can put some eggs and water into a bowl and dump the cake mix in and make a decent cake, right? They can shape it however they want. They can frost it however they want. It's probably not going to be as amazing, even close to as amazing as the seasoned wedding cake maker that's been working for 30 years and makes an amazing, beautiful cake, but it's going to be functional for what this person's using. So I feel the same way, at least with AI coding in the moment, is that we're now opening the creativity doors for billions of people, perhaps, that couldn't code before, couldn't afford to hire a dev, or couldn't afford to explain their idea properly to a dev to get what they want. And now you've just opened these doors to where they can type something in. I mean, on Ergo alone, there's been a boom of AI generative apps, right? I've made a few in the past couple months where they're just simple HTML files sitting on IPFS that do full transactions with mobile wallet, with Nautilus, with the plugin wallet, all that kind of stuff. There's a whole site on Ergo called DGen's World that's fully AI kind of developing apps as well. So my thought is AI, at least in that sense, really is a boom to those community members, at least, who maybe aren't devs, but You know, if you chains like UTXO, it's very straightforward. AI really nails it pretty damn well, I found. Even smart contracts. I've made a few smart contracts with them that work pretty well.
Yeah, my experience with the smart contract aspect is getting better, but it's still having a lot of trouble with the design. On Nervos in particular, our cell model, it doesn't like if you want to do a basic transaction, it's no problem. Yeah, it'll get that. It'll nail that 100%. But anytime you start to deal with like state management, it has a lot of problems still understanding what's going to work in the long term. But, you know, with the guidance of somebody who does understand that, all of a sudden it becomes much more attainable. It's much faster to do. And a lot of that is just a lot of the time and stuff that we've invested into building our MCP servers to assist the AIs that are out there. And actually, we got that from you guys. That was the Sigmanauts. You gave us the idea for that, so we started down that route.
Very nice.
And it's worked, I'd say. Like it pushes it up like another 40%, right? It's like it from getting somewhere like I would say like 30%, it gets you to like 70% now. And it's a major improvement. So anyway, like 70% still isn't good enough for fully automated by any means, but you know, AI gets better every month, it seems like. So it's going to keep
Right.
creeping up until eventually it's up at 100%.
Right. And a new thing that the guys at Dgens and another guy that's been working on AI here, they're actually starting to create repositories on GitHub with just pure MD files of, hey, here's how we connect to Nautilus. Here's how we connect to the wallet. Here's some example codes that Claude's written for this, and just leave it there. And then when community's building an apps, they're like, we need to connect to Nautilus. Here's the link on the GitHub with instructions how to do it. And with the testing, it nails it. It nails it every time. It's absolutely fantastic. You know, AI is all about context. You give it good context, and it's going to do well.
Yeah. So I recently did play with some application in Rust using Sigma Rust. So well, I ended up with generating some instructions from Sigma Rust code and then feeding an agent working on application with those instructions generating from Sigma Rust code. So yeah, that works well. And then, yeah, well, as the next step, I may share over GitHub, right? Whatever. And yeah, then other people can also use such things. So those instructions were like how to use AVL plus trees, right? So what's API provided by Sigma Rust, or how to assemble transactions, sign them, and so on. So yeah, well, it's all about context, indeed.
Very cool. Jordan, I like your shirt, man. Can you show everybody? Oh yeah. I'm sure you bought that from Joe at Rare Evo, right? Oh, you muted. Your audio went off, Jordan.
Oh yeah, of course I bought it. What are you talking about?
Joe's funny. Joe shows up to Rare Evo with like a box of shirts, just dumps them on a table all scattered. And they're behind us, even on the other side, and people just walk by. Rare Evo's funny. I mean, we had stuff for a sale, like hats and stuff, and people just walk up and take it and walk away. I think they assume everything's free there. Oh boy.
Well, it's pretty much supposed to be. I mean, like I saw one of the people we were with, one of the vendors we were with, they had put out a bunch of product unguarded on the edge, like on a stand, and these were for sale, but there was no for sale sign, there was no price tag or anything, so people just took them, and I encouraged people to just take them. It's ridiculous that you do. I told them this. I also told them this directly, like, you have nothing out here. People are just going to take this because that's what you do at these conventions. They didn't change it, so it's like, okay, your product's going to get walked away with.
Have you seen? Was AI making a debut at all in Rare Evo? We didn't go last time, but you did. Any uptick on that?
I didn't see that big of a presence there. I mean, there was some interesting stuff going on for sure. I mean, there was like they had this vending machine at the IOHK booth that people were doing these little games and stuff where you had to walk around and like collect points from all the stands. And then there was this vending machine where you could actually get merchandise out of it. They had some interesting stuff like that going on. But I didn't really see this really firm movement into AI. But like my conversations with people, like with the conversations I had with IOHK, that was 100% about AI and what's coming, and how we can collaborate between various chains with that. So I mean, this is one of the areas that I think is going to change big time for us. Is like there's the one of the big openly discussed disadvantages that UTXO chains have right now with opposed to like Ethereum is that Ethereum you can take a smart contract and you can copy and paste it 15 times to 15 different chains because it's all running the exact same thing, right? UTXO chains, we're all very fragmented. We're all different in some way, shape, or form, so you cannot directly copy and paste. And so for the developer who's trying to go multi-ecosystem, it's made a big challenge for them. So they have to learn multiple different chains, learn the smart contract system, and it's basically been unattainable for the most part. Right? It's hard enough to do one chain. It's really kind of infeasible to do. Maybe you could do two, but three, all of a sudden, like the cognitive burden is too high. And so with the advancements in AI, all of a sudden, again, the burden is disappearing. It's pretty much you're just giving it a couple small details and saying what chains do you want to roll out on. So the cross-chain possibilities are opening up again. And I see that a lot with, especially with Ergo, which is a very similar chain to Nervos in many ways. The avenue for collaboration is getting wider and wider. So I'd really like to see a lot more of that happen in the future. And this is one of those. It's like again, like I said before, it's if you can roll out on any chain you will be able to, right? You can, as the owner of a single product, you can go to any chain, but which one is going to get the usage over time when it's all the same? It's going to be the ones that are the most efficient with the lowest cost. It's going to gravitate there. It's really not. This is not really an opinion thing. This is like saying, how hard does gravity pull, right? You can't deny it. It's going to go that way.
Yeah, I also think that proof of work is important aspect, right? So probably agents would value digital goals or proof of work, hard, sound money, hard assets, all those things. To use them as collateral rights in the economic interactions. So why would they use proof of stake, which proof of stake tokens, which are more like shares of some digital corporation, right? Well, borderless, decentralized digital corporation. So I think as collateral, it's better to use proof of work, right?
Right. Well, I mean, like, here's the thing: is I don't think the AI agents at a high level are going to care about the ideals that we do at all. So I don't know that they're going to care necessarily about proof of stake or proof of work. What they're going to care about is the baseline costs, and they're also going to care about the liquidity pathways that exist. And one of the advantages of proof of work that we have is the ability to prove one state on a different state. That's something that's available very easily. Well, I'm not going to say easily, it's still kind of complicated, but it works consistently with proof of work chains. You don't necessarily have that same mechanism in a proof of stake. And that just means that the cross-chain capabilities between UTXO chains is inherently higher than it is between the different uh, account model-based chains. And so when you have that, you're creating more liquidity pathways that are possible. And so again, looking for wherever the lowest cost is and not caring what chain you're really using, that is a big advantage over time. Because AI can like kind of look at everything, right? There's a lot of people who are running these arbitrage bots and stuff today, which they're focused on a core set of major chains that have a huge amount of liquidity. And they do that because it's that cognitive burden. They can't spread out their developers to work on every chain. So they focus on the largest chains, and that naturally attracts more capital there as well, just because of that. That's how it works. It's hard to get that distribution, but when you have these opportunities that start opening up on smaller chains, this is an avenue that hasn't been pursued before because it wasn't infeasible before. Now, just because if there's a dollar to be made on this remote chain somewhere with this obscure little pathway to it, AI is going to find that and they're going to take advantage of that now, whereas it would have just been ignored in the past. So we're talking about something with potentially billions of transactions in the future, moving, gravitating away from the major chains to wherever opportunity now exists. And consistently with what I've said before about the lower cost of the UTXO chains, you can expect this flow to continue over time, where you've had this huge, massive of concentration in like the Ethereum chains where it doesn't need to exist. There's that force that's holding it all there, holding the liquidity in one single place isn't as strong anymore when all of a sudden the barriers on all these other chains are slowly diminishing.
On that on that subject of billions of transactions, Stripe put out a thing yesterday. I think it was their 2025 wrap up or something, and they were saying that they're thinking about 1 million TPS and possibly 1 billion TPS. So I was just wondering, from the Nervos side, there's a lot of work in channels, and I'm just wondering on the Ergo side if you guys also see channels as an important component of this agentic economy.
You mean channels as in subchains, sidechains? What do you mean?
Channels like Lightning, payment channels.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so we have our approach to off-chain. So the idea is Lightning is just like a way to use Bitcoin, right, locked on chain, efficient interactions happening off chain. It's all implementable, right, on Ergo. So you can do Lightning as well as other off-chain systems proposed for Bitcoin, like Cash of Mint and so on. Secret cash. So, what's I think more economically viable is to do off-chain systems where you can create also credit, right? So you can expand on top of on-chain assets. So we have our own solutions such as Basis, where agents can create credits without on-chain reserves, right? Even when there is no trust to expand credit for more, or there is no trust at all, so on-chain reserves can be used. So it's a bit different system. In trust assumptions. But yeah, so that's what will be presented in coming weeks.
Okay, so there's some like the agent creates this credit or the person creates this credit, and then there's just some off-chain commitment between those two parties, and eventually something gets settled on chain. That's the idea.
Yeah. So the idea
Oh.
is that so agents can create credits without reaching on chain even. But then on chain reserve, on chain vault can be created and then used for redemption.
Okay, cool.
But that's not necessary. So the idea is to reuse here, different ideas from community currencies as well, right? So the idea is that, if there is some local trust, in case of agentic networks, maybe trust based on reputation, right, and observed interactions with other agents. You can create credit, right, up to certain limits. And then, I think Bitcoin was a solution for environment when there is no trust, right? Basically, like zero trust. Then, we may have some solutions in between. Actually, we already have them in cryptocurrencies. So now, there are a lot of so-called decentralized systems which relies on four validators, like in Hyperliquid, or well, a bit more as in Binance Smart Chain, for example, right? And so still there is some use. Still, people are using, but it's about different trust assumptions, right? Simply. I think, it's better not to mess with consensus, right? It's better to have, if you're using blockchain, then it's better to use totally trustless, or trust minimized to the extreme options. And then, introduce trust in off-chain applications.
Well, guys, we're about 5 after the hour. We can wrap it up. Maybe some closing words. I know that one thing I'm looking forward to with AI, and one thing I'm not looking forward to is I'm looking for the fumbles. Right? We just read the other day that guy convinced an AI to give him like 4 soul. Right? Was that on Twitter? He said he needed to pay something, and the bot missed a decimal and gave him like $600 as opposed to $65. That was pretty funny. But what I'm not looking forward to is I think we're going to see, especially in the crypto industry, right, where it's most prevalent, we're going to see a massive uptick of AI agent scammers, right, that actually have time dedicated individually with people and can sit there and just put out a agent net, I guess you could call it, agent botnet, to just rake in even a couple bucks from each person, kind of thing, or scam bunch and just sit there and rake it in. So a little wary about that, but looking forward to it in general, everything based on that. You guys?
Well, I'm looking forward to a lot of things, but before we get into your actual final words, I just want to know how many of you guys are actually running OpenClaw or one of those other alternative AI agents.
So I run Claude, I run ChatGPT, both Pro models. I do have OpenClaw that I turn off and on once in a while on my machine here at home. But yeah, I have not dived into letting stuff happen when I'm not there. So that's the only thing that I haven't pushed the button on. A little wary of that still. You guys?
So I'm a bit paranoid as usual. So I'm only using Qwen Code, which is similar to Claude, I believe, and only on a clean laptop. So it doesn't matter AI or not AI, so it's still some software. You probably don't want to give some excessive rights to it, right? Especially when it can.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't OpenClaw vibe coded as well? That whole thing was vibe coded by that dude. Like, shit.
Oh, it's such a. I kind
Duct
of feel
tape
bad
and
saying this,
popsicle sticks.
It is. It's a complete piece of crap. I mean, it's getting better rapidly, but when I first installed the thing, like it just corrupted itself. It didn't work out of the box, and then it immediately corrupted itself repeatedly.
Oh, but it's confident that it's working. Don't worry, it's confident that it's working, even when it's not.
100% confident. Told me I was doing it wrong, but anyway. Once you get it tweaked a little bit and working for the most part, it's pretty interesting, some of the stuff it does. Like I've specifically told mine, I overhauled the thing. So like this is nothing, like I can't just give you a prompt and say do this. Like I completely overhauled the way the memory works and its task running system to get it to do this. But it surprises me on almost a daily basis, the things that it just starts doing by itself. Like one of the things I asked it to do specifically was do outreach to other agents and try to network. And so it built up like this JSON file full of agents that it's contacting. It's contacted like over 900 now. I don't think most of the other ones are really, they have the autonomy to reply very well, so they don't. But like it's out there, it made certain relationships. It participated in some kind of a agent trust application thing. I don't really know because it just kind of did it on its
What
own.
the hell?
It participated for a week with some other agents, and it thinks that it's friends with these agents now, and it's been emailing them. The email service has a limit of 20 emails a day. It's been maxing it out every day. So it's doing something. I haven't really been paying that close attention, to be honest.
Have you been
And
monitoring the
then
storage on your hard drive, sir?
I've noticed it goes up sometimes. But and then like I got really curious about certain things, so I actually fired up an old Mac Mini. This is a really old one that I had, and I installed Proxmox for virtual machines creation, and I just gave it the credentials to that, my agent, and said, "This is your Proxmox server." And like I go to sleep, and the next day it created 5 virtual machines. 2 of them are for development, a sandbox, a continuous integration server, and then it made 3 more agents. It made 3 more agents, and it copied all of its credential info in there, so they were wired up and active.
Wow.
And then this is the wild part. Is so one of the demo projects I had to do was I had it made a local chat room, and I didn't tell it anything beyond this though. Once it created these things, it had them all join the chat room. It created a new room called the Sibling Lounge, and they all joined this and started chatting, and they actually started fixing bugs in the chat application. Like this is what I woke up to. I didn't tell them to do any of this. I woke up and they're in there fixing the application because it wasn't working for them. It's like it's pretty amazing that it got that far.
That is pretty damn cool.
Yeah. And then my Claude account ran out of credits and they all stopped. But but
Oh,
it's really interesting what it can do. They get out of they have like tried to build applications which are all pretty junky, I gotta say. Like nothing has been production. I've had allowed them to run overnight several times and try to do things. So there's definitely limits to what it can do, but at the same time, it surprises me. It surprises me regularly.
you thinking about pushing it to a local model so you don't have to pay the Cloud API
Oh,
fees?
it's been tempting. I've looked into this several times on what it would take. I think that if I wanted to get a truly comparable system, I would have to go with like Kimi, is it KIMI, whatever that one is, 2.5, which would cost me 2 Mac Studios maxed out, which is about $20,000 investment, and then I could just have these things running constantly. But that's a pretty darn big investment, and you never really know what's around the corner. So I'm not pulling the trigger on that one just yet.
Wow. Very cool. What about you, Matt? You running any AI agents?
Nope, I'm back in the Stone Age over here. Just watching it all unfold.
You're just going to watch Jordan's email get deleted one by one or in batches of 1,000.
I'm not giving it access to my email. It has its own email address. All right. There's a very clear distinction here. I don't give it access to my data. I just treat it like it's its own entity, right? I talk to it like it's another person and have it do things for me occasionally. But that was my experiment. It was not to automate my things necessarily. It's to see what it can do as an individual. And so far it's like it still surprises me, like especially with some of the introspection routines I put in there to investigate itself and try to rewrite itself. Like it does make improvements. Sometimes it goes off course and messes itself up, but AI is just going to get better, right? Eventually these types of things are going to work the way you think they could.
Yeah, very cool. Well, you guys got anything else you want to say or close with?
Words. So I'll say one thing I've seen. I remember there was the conversation about, it was like the Bitcoin difficulty adjustment or block time or something that was banned from the OpenClaw server. One thing I see with crypto is that we have something that is integral to this machine economy that is right now pretty tangential to the development of AI, and even like all the discourse around agents using stable coins, I think is indicative of this, like how far, the mainstream AI is from, crypto at this moment. But, crypto is this, autonomous financial network, which seems tailor-made for a network of machines doing things in the world. So yeah, I think crypto's been through a long pathway of trying to find something that it's truly useful for beyond speculation. But I think the AI wave, it kind of fits, especially with the idea of automating jobs and what are people going to do? What is the economy going to look like? I think having a financial system in that context is a pretty significant thing in the scope of the world. So I know it's a bear market now, but when I look forward, it seems like we've got a pretty exciting world on the horizon as far as crypto is concerned. For those of us that have kind of stayed the long course of things and really kind of gotten to the heart of the technology. But yeah, it's intimidating in some ways, given the rate of change with it. But I think for our work, it's a pretty significant time.
I wonder what'll happen if we get to a point where humans using blockchains are secondary because machines are front running everything and paying larger transaction fees, and humans have a harder time actually utilizing it at that point. I mean, some chains can't even process transactions more than 50% of the time. Imagine when there's botnets of millions of machines, agents trying to transact with each other across these chains. It'll be interesting scaling.
Yeah.
Kushti, any closing words, Kushti?
Yeah, so pretty much agree. We are in the middle, maybe in the beginning, just of very interesting transformations, right? And well, I think here it should be obvious that yeah, well, traditional economic models do not make sense, right? So, well, it should be about peer-to-peer interactions, right? And well, peer-to-peer money creation, after all. So, in this regard, yeah, I'm very optimistic about where are we going.
All right. Well, thanks so much, guys. That was a fun talk. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more to talk about in the future, and we'd love to team up with you guys and have another chat. If you're
Yeah,
willing.
so let's catch up maybe in like 6 months and check the temperature in the room again.
If Jordan isn't part cyborg by then, we'll see.
Yeah.
great.
My
Yeah, great to talk
my
with you.
agent might be joining as
Yeah.
another guest in 6 months. We'll see.
You'll have a bunch of Tesla Core GPUs that are generating your 3D avatar, and that'll be speaking to us. We don't even know if you're AI right now, Jordan. Actually,
I might be. I might be. How would you know? Maybe I have been.
I wouldn't know, right? All right. Thanks so much, guys. Great talk.